What's going on, everybody? Gerald Lacey II here with Lombardo Funding Suite. I just wanted to tap in. It's a brand new year. It's a brand new time. Business funding based on your EIN and based on your EIN and not your social security number is a thriving force in being able to help your business flourish and grow into an operational state that's not choked. We can do this by properly setting up your company, getting you into compliance, and making you a fundable entity. Like most businesses fail in the first few years is because they're underfunded. There's things that need to be handled. There's opportunities that need to be created. There's marketing, there's materials. There's all kinds of things that need to happen in these first few years before you can actually get the momentum and the cash flow to keep you going. So here at Lombardo Funding Suite, we focus heavily on credibility, heavily on compliance, heavy on the ability to operate your company in a seamless fashion so that the credit reporting bureaus and also these lenders can see you as credible and as fundable and as lendable. So, I mean, there's a lot of new things changing and there's a lot of benefits in signing up for Lombardo Funding Suite because we make sure that you're in the know for right now. We have access to a lot of the vendors that haven't been available over the last several years. All of the vendors that are properly reporting your business credit so that you're not really wasting your time getting vendor accounts that don't report to the proper bureaus is going to give you the score that you need to actually be fundable. So definitely go on to Lombardo Funding Suite. Follow us on all of our social media at Lombardo Funding Suite. If you're on Twitter, it's just Lombardo Suite. But make sure that you're paying attention to what's going on. And the easiest way to do that is by joining the team at Lombardo Funding Suite. So I just want to kind of go over a few different things that are kind of happening just pretty much right now. Like, I mean, you know that, basically 82% of all new businesses, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, will fail in 5 years or less, as I just talked about. And 90% of those business owners agree that the ability to get loans is difficult for them. As a matter of fact, a large percentage of business owners that keep us up at night, the main thing that keeps them up at night is thinking about the financial problems of the business and how they're going to actually get the cash they need to grow. So that's the benefit of signing up with Lombardo Funding Suite and joining our team, is because we walk you through step by step on how to set your company up properly so all things are listed properly and you actually become fundable on your EIN that has nothing to do with the owner's ability to pay or their social security number. So I guess right now we can talk about fundability and improving your fundability. So it's like if you've applied for a credit card before and you either received either an automated approval, which lets you know that all is well, or you receive that message that says you'll hear by mail in 7 to 10 days, which is like what you don't want. You want your company to be in auto approval status. That means that everything lines up. That means your business credit is properly set up based on your EIN and not your social security number, and that you're scoring properly across all of the different bureaus. That's Dun & Bradstreet, that's Experian Business, that's Equifax Business, that's your SBFE report. And there's a couple of other reporting agencies that we'll get into a little bit later, but you want to make sure that those main ones are scoring properly and that all your information is lining up across the board. That way, when the computer spiders, start gathering your data, they're getting boom, 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 the checklist, and everything goes through, and then you get funded. So again, there's just a lot of different things that need to happen. These are just the basics, right? You need to make sure you have a listable phone number, right? A 1-800 number, a local made number, and in most cases you want to have a fax number just in case you need to receive those kind of documents. Those are some of the things that historically have been needed, to operate properly. So you also want to have a business address, and you want your business address to be the same the same across all the board, and preferably all the way up to this EIN status. But definitely you want to have it on the articles of incorporation. You want to have that listed. You want to have it on all your social media. You want to have everything that equals, where you're actually headquartered or where you're actually doing business at, that you're acquiring this vendor, these credit cards, these lines of credit, and potentially vehicle financing and equipment financing. So you want to make sure that you have a proper address. No PO boxes, please. You want to, virtual addresses are okay because now everybody's kind of working from home. So your corporate identity has changed depending on the size of your company. Even large companies in like state departments and different things like that are still staying with their stay-at-home work policies. I think it's worked out. I think it's lowering overhead. It's doing a lot of different things. Although there still will be office spaces, I think the whole dynamic and the trajectory of how businesses ran has changed, based on everything that we've gone through recently with the pandemic and all of those things. So your address needs to be on point. Preferably you want to have a lease. If you do have a space where you can actually have a door and key and your thing on it and a marquee and your name out on the parking lot where people understand that that's where you are and that's where you're operating, that's great for your Google presence. That's also great for lenders. That's also great for any opportunity when dealing with vendors and expanding your businesses, because manufacturers, all of the above, because it gives them the credibility, the feeling of credibility to allow them to want to do business with you. So again, if you can get an office with a lease, and if you can get some utility bills in that particular business's name where you're actually operating, that can really go a long way in your fundability, because it actually shows that you are stapled there and that you are more of a fundable operation or organization because you actually exist in brick and mortar. So there is some value. It's a little bit more expensive, but there is some string value in that, and it also gives you that that sense of wholeness as a business. In addition to your address, you want to make sure you have a corporate email. You want to make sure that you have a corporate email that is at abccompany.com. That way, that also is a separating portion from Gmail, Yahoo, AOL, or any other of these all these different email providers, because when you're actually operating under your corporate name, and nowadays Google Workspace seems to be the go-to. It used to be G Suite. Now you can just go to Google Workspace and get that handled. Or if you have IMAP or POP servers on a custom, on your custom whole server, IP, whatever it is, network that you have created for yourself, you can use that as well. But if you're just getting started out, you want to go the simple route. Google Workspace, you only really need a basic account. They offer a lot now as it's transitioned from G Suite to Workspace. They offer more enterprise size accounts, but you really don't need that if you only have a couple of employees or a couple of executives that are actually getting emails, or a couple of departments. It could be info, it could be support, it could be customer service, it could be anything that you want. It could be sales, or it could be each individual. So it depends on how big your company is, or how many people you want to be able to receive and reply to with a corporate email and or send out and when looking for business. So boom, you want to get that. You want to get the corporate email. Make sure you get your domain. Obviously, it's extremely important. You want to make sure you have an intuitive website that explains who you are as a company and the services that you offer. If you have a purchasable service, it's great if they could purchase right there from the website. There's a lot of different things that need to be set up in regards to that, to make sure you have a merchant account. And you also want to watch out for these fees when it comes to merchant accounts, because it can get really expensive. Sometimes the more convenient it is for you to get the merchant account, the more expensive it is. Like I've noticed, like Stripe and Square and some of these different ones have higher percentages per transaction, which could be costly if you have 3 or 4% transaction fee on every single transaction that you're doing. That could be costly at the end of the year. That's several percent in profits that you're losing. So you want to be mindful of that. Sometimes it's better to go through the extra steps, and you can also contact us at Lombardo Funding Suite. We may have some solutions that could work for you that are definitely in the 2s and all the way down to 0%, depending on where you are in business and where your company is. We may be able to get a way for you to actually process merchant transactions at 0%. So, actually the customer will be paying for your merchant fees. You shouldn't be necessarily, especially once you've done enough work, you shouldn't be penalized for, accepting capital for the things that you want to sell. So that's another thing that you want to make sure you get set up. You definitely need a corporate bank account, with the same corporate address. You want to have as much functionality as possible on that bank account. You want to be able to accept and initiate ACHs. You want to be able to accept and initiate wires without necessarily having to go to the bank. So you want to make sure you have all of those services listed on your online platforms. That way you can save time, and your CFO or whoever handles your accounts receivables and your payables can handle it without having to do too much moving. You're not losing too much time. You're not paying overtime and all these different things like that. And things are getting handled effectively. So I definitely want to have the bank account. I think that in addition to that, so you got your phone number, you got your address, you got your EIN, everything is matching up. You also want to get your website, it's listed, your services are listed, you can accept capital if need be, or your banking is set up. You're making sure that, you got to want to make sure that you're listed with all the reporting bureaus. So you want to have Experian Business, Equifax, you want to have a DNB number, and you want to make sure, the SBFE is one of the main data houses, so they're going to have you anyway. But you want to make sure that you have some lenders that are reporting to the SBFE as well, because they're kind of equalizing DNB as a standard of a go-to. So you want to make sure you don't miss out on that. There's just a lot. So I'm not going to talk you to death today, but I just want to make sure that you're understanding the magnitude of Lombardo Funding Suite and the team that we put together to be able to help you become fundable, lendable, to get the vendor cards, get the credit cards, loans, lines of credit, equipment, and vehicle financing that you need to grow your business to the levels that you envision for yourself. And we also have on our consulting department, we have the ability to merge you and your business and its amazing new credit that's based on its EIN and not its social security number. We can merge you with lenders and opportunities and gas cards and ways to create your own financial ecosystem within your company to make sure that you are operating in its most efficient manner. So we can do that and also give you the money to do so, to grow, for payroll, for operating, for fuel, for multiple situations. So let's get started first. Go to LombardoFundingSuite.com, log in, give us your information, let us assess your company, and let's really get started today, because the only thing you can't really buy back is time. And time is our most valuable asset. So I'm saying take action now. Go to LombardoFundingSuite.com, enter your information. One of our advisors will contact you very quickly. We'll enter you into our system, and you'll get your own dashboard. You'll be able to follow along. You'll be able to see lots of different opportunities, funding opportunities. And you'll be able to look, have a bird's eye view of how your company looks, how credible is it, and what are your next steps to becoming the most fundable. Again, it's Gerald Lacey II. I hope all this information helps you and motivates you to take action right now at LombardoFundingSuite.com. And listen, we look forward to seeing you at the top.